There we go. Hopefully it should have restarted. So I'm just testing one more thing on another internet, whether to see whether that one is better or the one that we are doing right now is going to be better. Because at the moment it's very and absolutely unstable, at least on the one that I'm on right now, the one I'm trying to stream. So it is absolutely unstable in a way that the speeds, it does show the speeds for a moment, but then it drifts back to very bad ones. So let's see, at the moment it's got green, the signals are green, the speed is improving, but we'll just get a brief idea of it. So apologies, just a bit of a delayed start, unfortunately, to the stream. But let's get started then, ladies and gentlemen. We are here in for round 3 of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix of the Digital Racing Championship as it stands. And looking at things so far here in the championship, at the moment as it stands, even my mobile data, the other internet that I was going to try and connect, doesn't want to do even their speed test and stuff. So the best option, in my opinion, would right now be that we do the recording of these streams, like of this, basically the race, from my PlayStation, and then directly upload later on. But just before that then, we're here in qualifying, ladies and gentlemen, at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix round 3 of the Digital Racing Championship. It is myself, Zabi, and I'll be bringing you all the action that we'll be looking for. Some great action out on track. We've had 2 races before this one at the Abu Dhabi GP and the other at the US Grand Prix. And considering things about now, Prototype already goes fastest, 123.782 is the times on the board so far, as a couple of other drivers are putting times on the board, but let's give it all, and this is what we're going to do. Meanwhile, James has left the session out there, so looking at this, Masquerader goes faster, that's as George. I believe it should have been him. He usually races for McLaren, but he's in for Aston Martin at this point. But there we go. He's in P1. It puts the fastest time of the session so far. We'll have a look at the driver's standings, but we'll do that later on. So just for the moment, 13 minutes remaining in the session. A lot of drivers, at least 7 of them, have put a time on board, include Make It 8, as RD Gamer goes P2 as well. 140 to 123.4. 5.2, and Striker now jumps onto the front row, 123.407. What about the Haas of Jagu, as Jagu over the finish line goes P1 and goes fastest, and your first driver into the 122s, 122.862. Goes pole position, does Sir Jagu, but all the other drivers right behind are going to be catching up as well. One Aston Martin is in P2, the other is about to start their flying lap, on their start their out lap. Couple of other drivers out and about out there as well, but let's have a look at this one. It is going to be Creford in the Alpine. Both Alpines haven't got a time on board, but at least one of them have got it now. That is going to be P9, only 2 better than the slowest time of the session so far, but looks decent as soon as everybody else has a time on board, and probably in the area and in the window of when everybody's in the pits. I'll let you guys have a look at the drivers and the Constructors Championship, which we didn't look at, unfortunately, because of trying to solve some issues. Speeder is going to come into the pit lane along with Waldo. No, in fact, the other McLaren of Orembang. I wonder if they've just joined the league and stuff, or somewhat of 8 sessions right now. Meanwhile, Thunder in the other Mercedes is going to go over the finish line. Only good enough for P14. Meanwhile, one Mercedes, Justin, the championship leader right now, I can tell you that much. He has 44 points to his name. P2 is Prototype, is currently in P6, 28 points to his name at the moment. Meanwhile, Waldo has invalidated his lap, so his lap is not going to be counting at all. I could tell you one thing, certainly I am enjoying commentating. We're only a couple of minutes in to the stream. I actually haven't done much work this week because of my ongoing exams, but I'll still try and pull up for this one. As over the finish line, it's going to be Mazego, and he's going to go P3. Nearly matches up his teammate, 123.322, and 3-1. 3-1-5. So very close action between the two teammates. What about Hat in the Ferrari? Currently P9 at the moment, goes P7. A bit of an improvement does Hat find. He's got 7 points at the moment in his Porsche Drivers' Championship so far. And this is a special livery. It wasn't for a Ferrari special livery, but it was basically... It's a livery that you could get with survival challenges in the game, and then you could eventually keep it and have an option to keep it for yourself. What about Thunder? Meanwhile, his teammate Justin only good enough for P9 at the moment, so unfortunately not really doing as much or good of a time so far. Your championship leader over the finish line goes Thunder, but 1.5 seconds better than his previous time, but only better than the previous time, not anywhere near the current time at all, anywhere competitive. So with most of the drivers in the pit lane, let's have a quick look at the drivers and the Constructors Championship. Do ping me on Discord, ladies and gentlemen, if the stream goes off or something happens out there to it, because I might or might not see this. All right then, it eventually has went up or ruined. So I'll just do one thing quickly. So take up, and in fact, all right, is it deciding to come back? All right, it does decide to come back at the moment. So we're just going to have a look at the Constructors Championship. Okay, I'm going to do one thing. Okay, but then it's not going to make any sense. I was going to say I was going to record on my PlayStation, so in case we miss the footage from the stream, we might catch it up back, basically, you know, from the PlayStation, and but it won't have any commentary on top of it because of my headset being connected to the PC. Okay, it's decided to come back now. So why it's just unstable? It's not stable at all. Like, you could have it, you know, be a bit stable. But let's have a look at this then, ladies and gentlemen. Like, let's have a look at it then. The Constructors Championship has pulled up at first. Let's have a look at that. Red Bull lead ahead of Mercedes in P2. Only 3 points separating the two teams. With Haas in P2, P3, 21 points to them. Only 6 behind Mercedes. So that could be interesting. Definitely. First spot is still up for grabs. Anybody from the P and from the top 3 can take it. Sauber in P4, only 1 point better than Matthew, who's got 28 by himself and 1 point by another driver. McLaren with 18 points, all done by George, and then Aston Martin have got 10. And I wonder, because I believe George got pole position at previous rounds, so I wonder what exactly went wrong for them, because eventually they are driving for Aston Martin. Apologies if there's some bit of an action on track, but then Aston Martin in P6, 10 points, then 7 points to Ferrari in P7. That is nice. 7 points for 7th place. Then Alpine, Williams, and Racing Bull still looking to score, still looking to find a spot on the standing. Then Justin lead in the Drivers' Championship. He's got 43 points, not 45. Let me correct myself, which I said earlier only at 48, 45, but he has 43. Only 15 better than Matthew, whose first place and best finish is P2. Which was at Bahrain. Then Ben in P3, helping Red Bull lead that Drivers' Championship with 27 points from him. Then only Chandray, only 2 behind Ben with 25 points in P4. Then Dylan in P5 with 23 points. So P3 to P5, only 2 points. Or in fact, Matthew's 28. So that is from P2 to P5, only separated by 5 points each. That is interesting, to say the least. Then George in P6 in the championship, 18 points to them. Then comes Vaz as a reserve driver, 10 points for them. They raced for Haas one of the races, but they might not be racing tonight. Then Casper in P8 for Aston Martin, along with Ian in 7 points for Ferrari. Zuki 6-4 for Mackenzie. Then Coreytant 2 points for them in 12th place, 1 point for Abhinav Kumar, which I believe he is King James. But meanwhile, one man is going to be looking to take. Oh, that's going to be an invalidation. That might have been a lap that he would have liked to do, and a lap that had he crossed over the line as fast as he was trying to go, he might just might would have taken pole position or closer to pole position at least. At the moment, Prototype has improved so far. 123.0 from our driver in second place in the championship. Has done brilliantly at the moment. Striker 123.279. So a couple of improvements then with RD then with the 2.280 as well, so well done to them. At the moment, Masquerator and Maisco win P5 and 6, 315 and 322 between the two teammates. Meanwhile, one of the Red Bulls is going to go over the line. Might be Striker. It won't be Striker, in fact. What about the McLaren? It is not going to be the top one. It is going to be the one at the bottom, P13 for them. Still P13 for them. And meanwhile, one Mercedes down in P14, the other in P9, desperately looking for an improvement. Does find an improvement, does Justin for our championship leader, but only good enough for P7. So quite a bit struggle for them around here. What about Striker in the Red Bull? Is straight going to head towards the pit lane. Meanwhile, the Sauber of a Prototype is going to be doing the same as well. So that is, ladies and gentlemen, exactly what is happening at the moment in qualifying. Only 5 minutes at the moment remain. James has joined back the session, which I believe is Abhinav Kumar. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it is him. Jagu over the finish line, already on pole position over the line, is going to go improve more and make it a further target for others to achieve. Can they achieve? That is going to be a question of time, but at the moment he at least himself has achieved that and made it very hard and absolutely difficult for others to catch up. Meanwhile, Hart in the Ferrari is on a flying lap, but I think he might have just completed a lap and not on a flying lap at the moment, which we could see already as he's harvesting on his car. Is the black backlight flashing? That's going to be, yes it is, flashing a crucial information to get. So P5, which is pretty impressive, to be fair, for both the Ferraris as a team, going P4 and 5. So that is eventually a thing or less, to say the least, in terms of, you know, trying to do all they can, trying to work as a team and trying to get the job done. Ferrari only 7 points for them in the Constructors' Championship, but they're trying to get that done, excuse me. So 3 minutes and 40 seconds remain here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Also, let's not forget, it was the F1 Formula 1 real life season finale. Congratulations to our brand new Formula 1 world champion, Lando Norris, winning the driver's title. A lot of people didn't want him to win, but personally, I mean, at some point, I might have been one of them who would have said, okay, Lando maybe hasn't done enough to win, but you have to say that the second part of the season, especially post the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, where Oscar Piastri crashed and then things happened. I mean, one thing you'd have to, you know, possibly debate about is whether when they swapped positions in Monza, I believe, as far as I remember correctly, between the McLarens, it was just because Lando had an engine failure at the previous Grand Prix. They decided to switch cars, which was very controversial in my opinion and shouldn't have eventually happened. But apart from that, Lando driven brilliantly, but I think Oscar didn't do any less as well. All deserved to win. Meanwhile, Thunder, he's going to try and get himself into the top 10, but does he deserve? Yes, he does get to the top 10, but just by nearest of the margins, and only in P10. Just one position better than Juno, who is in P11, so absolute at the bottom of things, and at the very back. And now we'll again have to catch up with whether everything is going to be fine or not, or eventually whether whether it's going to get back to its original speeds, and eventually everything going back in a better position. So there we go. At the moment then, ladies and gentlemen, minute and a half now remains. Jagu on pole position. Everybody in the pit lanes now coming out of the pits is everyone. So is Jagu, who's on a pole position with a time of 122.490. The only driver in the 122s so far. 123.057 from Prototype, a driver in second place in the championship, and Striker in that Red Bull at the moment. 123.279. RD Gamer, his debut on F125 as far as I am concerned. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but eventually I believe he, at least as far as I am, if I'm correct, this is his first weekend here in Digital Racing Championship, and now just at the very end, at the very ending moments of qualifying, is our internet deciding to drift away. There we go then. I wonder if it's going to come back, or we might have to restart the stream, because I can do that in no time at least, but only if it's going to get any better, only if it's going to pick up the pace and speed, or eventually at least let us get to the end. So I'll quickly find my the USB cable that goes on to the PC. It's going to connect up to, then I connect. It will be eventually. Hopefully, I'm hopeful that it'll be okay to run it as a nice and easy one. So eventually, I think one thing we'll have to do is I'll have to disconnect one of the things, which is connected to my PC. All right, then, it's back at least. Many drivers have taken the checkered flag. Apologies about that. We were lost in some other things on the grid. Meanwhile, Striker has taken the checkered flag, but his teammate Juno hasn't, who's just going to be over the line, but only good enough for P10 at the moment. One Sauber is at the bottom of the grid, the other in P2. James is going to go over the line. He's the only driver who hasn't got a time on board, but he does have one right now. Masquerator is still in P6 and on a flying lap. Meanwhile, his teammate is going to improve to go on to the front row. Great lap from him so far. Prototype at the moment is away from the end of this lap. Meanwhile, RD is out there. We're talking about his debut. How does he do on F125? 1P4 for him. For him at the moment. Hart in P6, so it's a Ferrari 4 and 6 at the moment. Meanwhile, one Haas is in P16. The other is already on pole position, but over the finish line, he's going to improve even furthermore and get his margins of pole positions far away from others. And over the finish line goes Masquerator, goes up to the second row of the grid, and in P3 goes Masquerator as everything is dropping up. And I believe there is somewhat of breaks in between qualifying and the race, so we might just switch up things and we might just do all of this during that time. So Jagu in P1, followed by Maisco in P2, with Masquerator in P3. A brilliant lap from Maisco. It was eventually. Masquerator was ahead of him, I believe, but eventually actually both of them were in similar times, but are the only two drivers to go in the top two in the 122s. That has to be a highlight for sure. 122.838 from him out there. So definitely some of the drivers really invalidating their laps, but that is interesting. 5/10s from third to P11. That has to be a brilliant job by these guys. So let's have a look at this then, ladies and gentlemen. These are your qualifying results. Jaguar on pole position with Maisco in P2, followed by Masquerator in P3, Aston Martin 2 and 3, then Prototype in P4 with RD in P5. The top 5, that is for you. Then Justin, championship leader, down in P6, Striker in P7, followed by Hart, James, and Orebeng in P10. Then comes Juno, Thunder, Creford, Joel, followed by Waldo, and then Zuki, Speeder in P17. That is your 17 driver grid, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hope for the best. Let's see. I wonder if there's going to be any break from these guys, but brilliant job by these drivers. Congratulations to our pole sitter, Jacob. Apologies about that. They're just trying to do somewhat. I was just trying to do some troubleshooting. Unfortunately, couldn't catch up to the action completely, but This is brilliant. It was really brilliant from these guys qualifying. Hope you all enjoyed it. Who do you think is going to win this race? Is Jagu going to be able to hold up or not? Or is there going to be anybody else taking up the charge at the start of this race? This is going to be interesting to see, and an interesting answer to that question we might be about to get. There again, no break. It is going to be as we already get started and get into it. So at the moment, again, the speeds are back to where it should be. So I'll just let it, let it go in then, because obviously you know that as soon as we're in the race, then pretty much there is no coming back. Well, I'll still have a look at it though. I'll still have a, I'll try. Actually, I'll try and. No, don't do that. I was about to close the OBS, which obviously would have closed our stream. So unfortunately I have just one monitor, so it just makes it a little bit difficult in terms of trying to, maintain and manage things. But I'm going to do one thing, and that is I'll have OBS Studio on one of the sides, so at least I just... it's a bit too big. It's a bit too bigger than what we want, or I'd want it to be. But eventually then I'll just keep it at some of the... Alright, I'll keep it here. And there we go. There we go. Already it's dropping. It's already dropping, ladies and gentlemen. But it is what it is. It's kind of a situation where it's like, okay, it is what it is. You can't really get out of it anymore of a situation. But then, alright. I guess there is no way to really tackle it. But there we go. Alright, 18 drivers. We've got one of our new joiners, and that is interesting. A brand new driver has joined us out there. But look at this, 28 laps of the Abu Dhabi, or 29 laps of the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, ladies and gentlemen. Every single driver is going to be starting on a set of on a set of medium compound tires, apart from the 3. And those 3 are going to be on your screens, and that is all in different parts of the races. P2 from Waisco, he's in on a set of hard compound tyres. Then Orabang on a set of hards down in P10, and Zuki down in P16. Only 2 better than Timor in P18 and Speedor in P17. P16 starts Zuki, but let's look at it then. Last car on the grid approaching, and we are ready to go racing here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Look at that. The car from Maisco is really on the right-hand side to try and defend from Jagu. It's going to be 5 lights out, and we go racing here at the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix in Digital Racing Championship. It's going to be a pretty good start from Jagu. It's going to be a very good start for Maisco as well, but not so good one from Masquerator. I think he's going to be side by side with Prototype. There's a brilliant start from Prototype as he gets past him and into P3. Gets a brilliant start, does Prototype, and gets the job done into P3 already. So it shows a 2-stop race here. Would have believed it's going to be 1 stop, but eventually it is going to be 2 stops, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliantly done by these drivers. Meanwhile, Masquerator is in P4, P5 for Justin at the moment. He started P6, but P5 as he's just gained a position out here after starting in P6. RD in P6 at the moment as he's dropped down a couple of places, with Trekker in P7, followed by James in P8 at the moment. Meanwhile, Juno has gained a couple of positions. In fact, everybody behind is gaining those positions. What about Timor? Look at that. What a start from the RB driver. Remember, he started at the very back of the grid, I believe, coming late in after qualifying session, just about when the race was about to get started. He comes in and announces himself already. He's nearly about to get past Welde as well, and that McLaren nearly goes over it on the inside line, and he's now going to get the outside line now. They're going to be side by side. He's going to be through and ahead of Welde on the inside line. He's going to be ahead of the McLaren and already into P11. does Timur, and brilliant start from him there, as Welday is in P12 so far, followed by Speeder in P13. They're going to be side by side, will-to-will action between the two. Who's going to be late to the brakes down the inside line? They nearly made contact, but the McLaren driver is going to be able to get the better of the Williams and into P12. P12 he's going to stay. Meanwhile, Zuki is in P14, starting on a set of hards, but has gained 2 positions. Thunder down in P15 with Hart, who did not have a good start at all. Unfortunate for him then, and his front wing end plate is missing. He's already got a 3-second time penalty, which is not a good thing as well. What about this? Now, this one then is going to be Speeder and Welday fighting again. They're going to be side by side. A bit of a lag we see, and there's going to be nearly going on to the rear of the Williams was the McLaren driver. Just gets tapped a little bit. Meanwhile, at the back, it's going to be Thunder and Orabang. Competition for who's going to be the worst or who's going to be the best as going on. And 2 laps in out of 29. We're doing all we can, catching up with the action. Meanwhile, one McLaren fighting one Williams at the front already, and the other McLaren's going to be getting into those fights and try and fight the Ferrari of Hart on the inside line. Is going to go for it, and it's going to and then move, and then nearly make contact. Meanwhile, one McLaren is going to be losing position. But in fact, no, he's not going to be able to get past, but he is going to be losing positions. Orabang won't be able to get past, and Welday is going to be losing positions, and he's going to straight up come into the pit lane. And I wonder if this is the official timings of the Abu Dhabi GP, where it just begins almost before sunset, and nearly the sun is setting when the GP is started, and by the end of it, it is already night time and the racing is going on under the lights. But it's nearly overcast, but I feel like more than overcast. Surely some black clouds are there, but more than that, possibly of the lights being on, the racing action, the time moving towards the evening, late part of the evening without the sun out there. So look at this then, ladies and gentlemen. Lap 3 out of 29. Already Maisko is going to challenge Jagu, and he's going to challenge Jagu on the inside line. Switches up from outside to the inside with the help of that DRS. He's going to get past him, and Maisko leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix and takes the lead of this race, as Jagu's going to lose out this one to the driver who started on a set of hards. Let's not forget that, obviously, starting on a set of mediums, that should give him the edge over the hard tire runners. But Maisko being the only driver on the set of hards in this top 10 in this race, or nearly top 15, as he is into the lead of the Grand Prix. Yellow flags at the back. Meanwhile, Jagu in P2, still within 1 second, nearly about to drop off, and surely something might have just happened. I wonder if he's made a mistake on his own, or what exactly has happened, because now Prototype's already about to catch up to him as well, because Jagu got a brilliant launch off the line. Maisko and Masquerator got a good launch as well, but an absolute good launch from Jagu it was as well. But Prototype now only 6 tenths behind. Jagu might be putting all that pressure on him. Will he be putting that pressure on him? We're about to find out. He's not going to be close enough just yet. Meanwhile, Justin is in P4, over 2 seconds behind these guys. But Striker is in P5, 7 tenths between the two. RD in P6 as well. Meanwhile, his teammate is down in P12 after not a good start at all. The qualifying for the Ferrari drivers was brilliant. Meanwhile, James is in P7 at the moment, 4 tenths, 3 tenths behind the Ferrari. Anytime soon, the Sauber might try and get past the Ferrari, but meanwhile at the back, the Ferrari's going to try and get past a Haas, and he is going to get past the Haas and into P11. Already Hart trying to get past, or in fact he's going to come back at him. Zuki's going to come back at him and nearly attack him for the position, but they almost make contact as Hart closed the door and did not at any point let him get closer, let him get through at all, and that definitely would have eventually meant that it was not going to be easy for Hazuki to get past, and he can't quite get past him at all. Speeder, nearly. There's multiple problems. There is problems, and that is going to be for Timur, as that is going to be him spun round, facing the wrong way, and not where he should be facing, and is going to be falling down to the back of the grid in P13. As earlier on we were about to say that how good of a start he's had. He was almost back into the top 10 and really at the front of the field. He was going to progress through that, but couldn't quite do it at all. And hopefully everything is running as we expect it to run. As we're 29 minutes into the session, lap 5 out of 29. Zuki might have another opportunity. He doesn't have the opportunity. Meanwhile, one man who was behind the Mercedes is going to be ahead of the Mercedes now, and that is going to be Stryker in the Red Bull. The Mercedes versus Red Bull battle still goes on. Remember, they're fighting for a Constructors' Championship as well, which is the two teams are only separated by 3 points in coming into this weekend. But look at that. Brilliantly, even the medium tire would have hoped that it's going to at least last on Jagu's car for a couple of more. Last one only within 4 laps. He's already losing to Maisco, and 1.1 seconds between the two. Show Prototype hasn't been able to get past Jagu at the moment, but so hasn't been Jagu able to get closer to Maisco or get back to him, because you'd think, right, okay, you know, he's got past him. He's made an overtake with the help of that DRS, so he just made a mistake or two, but he's going to have the pace, he's going to have the speed to come back at him, but at the moment, he doesn't seem to be at all. 1.2 seconds between the two, no DRS on the Haas, but the DRS is going to be open on the Sauber. But is it going to be enough for him to get past? I don't think so. He's not going to be close enough to be making the move. Meanwhile, Justin and Stryker within 5/10 of each other, with RD behind him P6 as well. He's in a race of his own, as James hasn't been able to get past them at all. They're just going to stay there and keep it there for the moment. Juno in P8. So Red Bull at the moment is going to be scoring more points than Mercedes, with Thunder down in P17. So not a lot is going on for Mercedes in the Drivers' Championship, Constructors' Championship. Only 10 points for them, so that's going to be 57 points. But P4 from Stryker is going to be 12 points to Red Bull. That's 62 already. And not to forget that there were 4 points of Juno. That's going to be about 66 points. So still 6 points better, 6 points better than Mercedes. Then Red Bull. Then Mercedes will be Red Bull indeed, yes. So lap 7 out of 29. I mean, if it's to be a 2-stop race, which I don't think it's going to be, generally here around Abu Dhabi, the tire is not too high. Depends how these drivers race or how it really affects on them. But it's a general point of view, especially in real life F1, it was a 1-stop as well. So, all right, I know that tire wear is, and it rather depends from how much you do, or basically the racers tend to run, either you're 50%, 35 or 100%. It all depends from that, but it's all about, what you're going to do and how you're going to be doing in terms of that. So that is the case. Look at this then, lap 7 out of 29 so far. A couple of drivers with penalties, and Prototype is one of them again. Unfortunately, his issue has been back in Swift F1 as well, that you used to get a lot of time penalties, those track limit penalties especially, running wide here and there. So keeping it within the white lines, it has to be his first motive. Meanwhile, Zuki's going to get past him, and that Hart is going to lose out that place, but so will Speeder is going to be losing that place to Timur, or Timur is going to be losing that place to Speeder. Timur's going to go for it on the inside line, a little bit late on the brakes. He goes a little bit wide. Might be an opportunity for Speeder. In fact, no, it is not going to be, and the 2-stop we were talking about might be a reality here, as Jagu is going to be the first one to pull the trigger at the top of the drivers, and into the pit lane comes Jagu. Mediums off and hard tires are on that Haas, as that is going to be a job well done to the Haas crew, but that's obviously going to be job and a half done so far, considering they have to do a lot more at the moment. They don't have to do a lot more, but they definitely have to do slightly more. So I don't know, yeah, basically every time I'm thinking to And there we go, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully it's going to be a little bit more stable, which I believe The previous one should have been decent, but it might have had the problem of stability, in my opinion. Otherwise, it might have been an issue with OBS, because speeds are there, and speed tests and everything else, they are there. And last week I had an issue as well with one of other streams. Eventually, that the speeds were there, everything was there, but in OBS it just couldn't register it and couldn't go how it should have been. But let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. Then lap 11 out of 29 as it stands, as Jagu is back to P3 with pitting an early pit stop and definitely trying to get an undercut attempt on all these guys at the moment so far. But how for long is that going to be the case? There's a question of time. Obviously, Justin and Prototype staying a little bit longer. Maiski has now pitted as well, so only going a few laps longer than Jagu, who was on a set of mediums versus on a set of hards, was Maiski. Then James, RD, Striker, Zuki, every single one of them have pitted. So Zuki hasn't pitted, but Juno, Masquerade should have pitted as well, in my opinion. And yes, he has. Oh, right, so only 3 drivers who haven't got a pit stop in this race. It has to be Zuki and the two in the top 2, Justin and Prototype. So that is the 2 drivers. Everyone a set of hards now, apart from the 4 drivers, which 2 have to pit, and 2 have already pitted from the 2. And there we go, it is. Prototype already back to into the pits, and so is along with and is Justin. Both of them are going to be in the pit lane, staying a little bit longer on the set of medium tires. Actually, yeah, so they've stayed longer than on the mediums. Then Maiski could stay on a set of hards, but definitely you have to avoid that. You have to avoid a lot of things, and definitely I think thinking goes in. So obviously one thing's differently than the other, and eventually they're doing what they think is right. So as you know, in P8 at the moment. Meanwhile, 2 McLarens in P13 and 14 at the moment. Timur in P15. That is interesting to see, as Thunder in P16 for Mercedes just hasn't got going at all. I mean, Thunder overall, we had seen him drastically improve in overall performance the last couple of Grand Prix, you know, switching from Swift to DRC, but eventually just another weekend where they unfortunately can't get going, and they're not really doing the job as good as they would have hoped for, at least as a team as well. So Speeder in P17, Screfford is down in P18. So once again at the top, Jagu now leads once more and back to the lead of the Grand Prix in P1. Maiski in P2, 3.8 seconds separating the 2 drivers. Obviously, so it's going to be a 2-stop, you know, possibly 7 or 8 laps on set of mediums, and everybody when they're on the hard tires. Maiski on a set of mediums, so even if he goes, considering, you know, he's about 2 laps now on these tires, so that means that he's done about 11 laps. Yeah, that'll about 10 laps I think he's done, because at the end of this lap it's going to be 3 laps on these tires for him. So he's pitted around lap 10 or lap 11, even if he's pitted. He's done 11 laps on those hard tires. Even if he does about 10 laps on these, which I don't think so he'll do, 2 laps he's already done. So let's say he does 6-7 more laps, considering that 20 he pits for another set of medium. That's what I'm thinking he's going to do. Sure, he's got newer tires than Jagu at the moment. That's possibly the only support that he has. You know, a few more laps, newer tires, and also brand new, or medium eventually. Obviously, brand new. I tend to say obviously the advantage they've got in the tire life and the tire deficit in the laps they've got. Has to be. Meanwhile, one man, look at this one. This is interesting then between all these drivers. James in P3, followed by RD and Striker all together. But look at this, they have pitted. They have all pitted a little bit earlier than the others. And there's going to be an opportunity for Striker to get past. And James is in P3. Obviously, Prototype and Justin getting out of the way of these guys. But definitely somewhat or the other. They have to drive the way that they are, but they would have been looking for things. But look at this then, ladies and gentlemen. Over the line, this is an interesting one for P3, as Prototype's joining up at the back as well, along with Juno in the Red Bull. So it might just soon become a 4-5-way fight eventually. So at the moment, a lot of drivers, obviously everyone has pitted, so the race has kind of now equalized and stabilized in a moment, as it has eventually has, you know, slowed down a little bit at the moment. Lap 14 out of 29 then. There might be an opportunity for Striker to get past, and he's going to get past Striker. He's going to get, Striker is going to get past RD and into P4. A nice and easy one done for him, as Justin and Prototype were staying a little bit longer. Definitely they were going to get undercut. And okay, this is interesting. This is, look at that. So the speed for a moment was 7,000 kbps, and it's down to 1,500. And this is the situation of instability. And I wonder... Oh yes, and somebody now has decided to burst songs just outside my room. That is crazy. Everything's happening today, not sure why, but eventually something... somebody's decided to play out some songs on a speaker, but one man is going to decide to bring amazing, or bring his driving to the top. And on front of your screens might be Striker. James has done brilliantly, his P3 so far, but Striker, it might be far away before Striker catches up to him on a set of hard tyre. Both on a set of hards, but one who's done 5 laps, the other has done 6 laps. Similar amount of laps as well on these tyres. Still, the Red Bull driver might feel, or it might be, his pressure might be different against James, and into P3 soon might be Striker, or it might be other thing at the back. Striker might be challenged by RD, not at the moment, within 1 second as well, but just not yet, just not yet. Meanwhile, Prototype's at the back as well, and he's got a better exit. He's got a different better exit than the Ferrari, and Prototype might be able to get past the Ferrari just about right now, and he's going to be right by side. They're both going to be there. Meanwhile, Striker's going to get past one Sauber. Meanwhile, the other Sauber is going to get past the Ferrari, and job well done. P4 and 5 for the Sauber teammates. Is James going to let Prototype get past here? That is a question we might ask, a question we might look for an answer for. Eventually, whether does he let him get past, does he let him get through at the moment, or does he stay how it is? Which is interesting. It's going to be interesting, because do they believe that Prototype's going to do enough after he gets past James? Do they think that he's going to, if he's given the position, he's not only going to get past Striker, but he's going to push enough to get closer to Maisco, or even get to get into P2 against Maisco? So that's going to be interesting to see, to you know, thinking, which I don't think these guys are going to switch up position. They might be about to switch up positions, but definitely by fighting, by challenging each other, rather than going against letting the other get past. Meanwhile, James is not going to wait at all. He's going to get past Striker. Prototype might not wait as well, as they're going to be side by side, as James is pushed a little bit wide, and the Red Bull's going to be through. That is interesting, as with both the Saubers were about to get past the Red Bull, and now the Red Bull's passed both the Saubers. One of them was pushed wide, and Prototype's not going to be side by side around the outside of the Red Bull. They're still going to be wall to wheel. Red Bull's just ahead now, and whole car ahead is Striker once more. And P3 stays to him at the moment. Might be an opportunity for Prototype to come back. James stays there. RD Gamer's there as well. Only 2 tenths to the Sauber is the Ferrari of RD, which is going to be brilliant between these 4 drivers now. A 4-way fight is all going here. Don't go anywhere. I'm sure you're going to be stick to your screens now, as Striker's going to switch up, defend the inside line heading towards turn 1. Prototype's not going to wait for anything at all. He's going to try and get past. He's going to try and get through. Anytime he gets the opportunity, he might be looking for a chance. He might be looking for a move to do. He's 2 tenths to the Red Bull. He's going to get that DRS. Does he go into turn 5? No, he doesn't. He's got James, he's got RD, all behind, and Juno now, only 1.8 seconds behind these guys. Eventually, with Justin, 6 tenths, within 6 tenths of him as well, as Prototype's already going to be able to get past Striker before the braking zone, and into P3. He gets back to the top 3. Meanwhile, the race leader has just been switched to the top. They're going to be side by side. Jagu gets it back. But look at that. The tyre deficit, and on that set of medium tyres, Maisco is catching up to Jagu as well. These are guys are going to be going at it, and Striker now, one DRS zone, he was overtaken. The other DRS zone, he has overtaken. Brilliantly done, and Juno's now lost out to Justin as well. Justin's back to the top 7. He, remember, leads the Drivers' Championship, so I'm sure he doesn't want to lose out too many points around here. He knows such an opportunity might not come ever again. And look at this prototype once again going side by side between Striker there. They're going to be will to will between the two. The Red Bull might try and go down the inside line. He just doesn't do it right now. And again, heading towards turn 1. Could be an opportunity for the Red Bull. It might not come sooner or later, but it is going to be there. Our leader has lost it again, and when one DRS zone, he has been overtaken. In the other, he might try and overtake. And yes, he indeed is going to do that. Jagu overtaken in one, he overtakes in another, and once again our race lead has been switched up. Prototype still keeps his 3rd place though. The final fight for the final place on the podium is still on as well. It is up for grabs. Striker might have an opportunity just about right now. He's going to switch to the inside or to the outside. Prototype's going to go defensive on the inside line, and he's going to be able to stay to the outside. Striker, James in P5, RD in P6 at the moment, and 10 laps on those hard compound tyres. Depends on how good or how long is Jagu now deciding to stay out, but it might just be time for the hard tyre runners to pit right now. Even a sort of medium tyre, which Maisco is on, considering if they want to go onto a set of softs or onto a set of mediums towards the end of the race. As already there is a couple of drivers in the pits, and that is Striker in as well already. 9 laps on these, 10 laps on these hards. He's going to switch up that, and eventually he's going to actually get a new set of a front wing, which is interesting to get as well. So that is a nice one, ladies and gentlemen. And again, eventually it's dropped out a little bit, but hopefully it's going to be back in no time and back to the top, or at least back where we want it to be. Eventually it is. All right, something, come on, come back. I'm hoping it'll come back. It is eventually stay there. There's brilliant fight going on. I'm just going to hope. I'll just hope that was there. That was with some great quality out there. As let's go to the back of the front. Let's go to the front of the field and back to it. Maisco lead from Jagu, and definitely the fight for the lead is still on. The fight for the victory and fight for the win of this race is definitely on. First place means that you are going to be in for a challenge. He goes wide, and he goes absolutely wide. I wonder if that was an absolute bluff of something just happened there for Maisco, because on top of that, he's got a penalty for corner cutting, and he's already sliding around. Or in fact, what exactly happened there? Because he was heading towards the pit. I wonder if he was just trying to do the opposite of Jagu there, and just trying to do that, he has eventually got himself a penalty. 3-second time penalty, which should never have been coming in his way, at least had he not made that mistake, and now it's going to be a big problem for him. Because even if he's able to get that lead, even if he's able to keep that lead, he's not going to be able to win unless and until they have a 3-second penalty as well. Many drivers have actually got penalties, but he's going to hope for one thing. He's going to hope that Jagu gets a 3-second time penalty. And there we go. It might be going up to 0. We might just be losing out. Alright. It was literally 0 kbps for one point. And it's back to a few thousands. But again, it's back down to a very poor one. So I wonder what exactly is going to be the case. Oh, he's coming in the pits now. He's just coming into the pits now. I wonder if he was coming in and he was thinking, okay, either I slow down either if I try and go into the pits, he's going to hit the wall on the outside, pit wall, or if he stays out, he gets a penalty. So I think it might have just been a case of that, whether just get a penalty or probably retire DNF out of this race because of hitting the wall. Because I believe he might have just been driving very fast and trying to come into the pit lane, but he might just not been able to slow down. Or one thing actually could have been the case, you know, he might have been like, all right, I'm very fast. Ooh, a little bit slight on the exit there. So yeah, one other thing, you know, it could have happened as well. You know, he would have been like, all right, looks like I'm very fast, right? I'm very fast into the pit lane, so I might not be able to slow down and into the pit lane within the speed limit. Obviously, 80 kilometers an hour here in Abu Dhabi. If you into the pit lane below that speed limit, you're going to be fine. But if you enter it over that, you're going to get a 10-second time penalty. So it might have just been that as well. You know, it might have just been like, all right, if I enter the pit lane right now, I might just get a 10-second time penalty, but if I don't, I'm going to get a 3-second time penalty. So, might have just been that case, which I won't even think that it's not okay, or it's, you know, eventually, like, not a good thing, because obviously you got to do one, you got to, it's like you lose some, you win some, to get something, you have to lose something. Meanwhile, one man is going to be losing something, and that's going to be James, losing a position to RD, who's up into P5. These guys are going to be fighting at the Prototype. Now leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, a new leader, but he has only pitted once, and I doubt that he's going to go to the end of this race. So he should be coming into the pit lane just about now, along with James, who's also staying out about right now. So this race then, 7 tenths between Jagu and Prototype at the moment. Only a 10th between RD and James out there, hard at the very back. And P11 just outside the points out there. Meanwhile, when James might have an opportunity to get past RD there, and he is going to try and get the opportunity. Is he going to get it past him to turn one? No. He wouldn't have wanted to avoid that DRS, and now for the first DRS zone is going to be on, and an opportunity for James to get past the Ferrari. He's going to be getting past the Ferrari already before they could even get near or closer to the braking boards of the next corner of this chicane. They're going to try and brake up into it, and now it's going to switch up the table. The DRS is going to be open, but on the Ferrari this time. James was past the Ferrari previously, and the Ferrari's of RD is going to pass James about now. Is he going to be able to brake a little bit later? Nope. At all, and the Ferrari is going to get past James. So definitely these guys are going to be fighting each other so far in a bit of race long. So Maisco is in P4, Justin is in P3 along with Prototype in P2. Both of them should be pitting anytime soon, but I wonder what's their plan is at the moment, considering 11 laps on these hards. Now going to the end of this race, eventually after this lap, it's going to be 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. So 6 laps to the end after this lap to the end of this race. So it's like, whether can they do about 18 laps on these hard tires, or do they think, no, that's it, we need to pit about very soon and about right now? Meanwhile, Timur has got him past Orabeng, and that is interesting. He's in a P13. A bit of fights at the back as well, so apologies about that, but P7 and 8 at the moment for Red Bull. The two teammates are out there. They're going to be fighting, remember, for a Constructors Championship on the line. It's on the line, obviously, only 3 rounds in, so it's not on the line, but eventually you have to fight. You have to think about it. You definitely have to think about these things earlier on, especially if you are leading, if you're in the lead and at the top of everyone. You need to maintain and manage, considering how you could stay ahead for a longer time. Meanwhile, the one man who has to figure out for how to stay there for a longer time, or in fact both of them might need to, is going to be James and James and Gamer there, because they're just doing back and forth at the moment. You know, one overtakes the other, and then it's back and forth between the two. I mean, while Jagu is out on he's on a set of hards, which is interesting to see, because he's done 4 laps on them already, but eventually on a set of hards is Jagu at the moment, and he leads the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix already, and Mays go back in P4, 6.2 seconds to him. I think it's definitely not going to be easy. Already out there. Meanwhile, the two drivers were already fighting, and again, just like before these pit stop, the fight for a position out here in between these drivers. It was a 4-car fight at one point. It is going to be a 4-car fight once again, as James is only going to be 6/10 ahead of RD, who might just be able to get past James around here. Or will he be able to get past James around here? I don't think so. He's not going to be close enough unless he goes very late lunge. Then he doesn't do that around here. So Striker in P7 at the moment, and RD couldn't get past him on the previous straight. Can he get past him just about right now? You know, Striker and Juno are arriving there. The two Red Bulls are going to be getting in this little battle as well between these drivers, so that could be brilliant as he's gained all of that speed, he's gained all of that time on James as RD, but is he going to be able to get past him? Which is a question of a time, but what will exactly happen? What exactly are going to be we going to be looking at out about right now? So lap 25 out of 29 at the moment, and at least at the lead looks like very secured. So I think Prototype 3.4 seconds to Justin, who also hasn't pitted, but I don't think, I mean, if these guys are to pit right now, it's going to be very unusual and awkward way they'll end up in. They'll end up losing a lot of positions, so the best possibly for them right now is stay where they are and try and finish this race as high up the order as they can, eventually to end up in a best position. And even with that penalty, if Prototype ends up P2, it's going to be an absolute brilliant result for him, especially over Justin, who's the man who leads by 15 points over him. Jagu leads by over 8 seconds now in this race and might just be secured. And then one position that isn't secured is going to be P5, might just be P6 as well, as the Red Bull off Shrek is going to be the inside line and through and ahead of James as well. A position which he was trying to defend might have just been P5, but in the end, his P6 was taken away as well. James finds himself in P7. It has been some brilliant fighting, some absolute epic racing action between these drivers, so you have to appreciate that, ladies and gentlemen. And so many drivers now out of the 17, as Mark Creford has retired out of this one. Apologies about it, we haven't even covered that. We're considering how good and how epic the fight between these drivers has been. So out of these 17, only about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 drivers without a time penalty. All 11 or 12 drivers have got a time penalty. Meanwhile, at the back, there's going to be action between these drivers, or in fact, there is nobody. But at the top, it is going to be Justin, who just does get overtaken by Maisco, and now 3.5 seconds between Maisco and Prototype. So Prototype's podium might be in a bit of pressure out there, or in fact, it's in P3. He's in P2, so. Oh no, in fact, Maisco's got a penalty as well. Oh, Prototype's got 6 seconds. Prototype's got 6 seconds of time penalty, so definitely, had he had only 3 seconds, his podium might have just been saved, but I doubt about that right now, because it's going to be very crucial and critical for him to defend about right now. Meanwhile, Striker now 4/10s to RD, and James 2/10s to Striker, with Juno right behind these guys as well, all to play for. Juno still stays in P8. He hasn't been involved in these bit of overtakes, but could be anybody's game, could go anywhere between these drivers out there. It's a 4-way fight for 5th place, and it's all on the line. Meanwhile, at the back, Orabeng does get past Timur once more, as Timur is going to be into P14. Started P18. Remember his spin from earlier in the race after a good start, or a brilliant start, gaining positions. Unfortunately, he lost that out. Meanwhile, one man who's going to be already at the back of Prototype, it is going to be Maisco, who had a 3-second time penalty himself. But Prototype, obviously, being on older tyres, is going to lose out the position immediately, as Maisco is going to get past Prototype into P2. 6-lap old hards versus 15-lap old hards, ladies and gentlemen, and definitely that explains why